Thanks for tuning in to High Definition Relationship, where we help you to connect the dots. I'm Pastor Tony. We want to look at the definition of intimacy because I think this is really important because every relationship has a certain level of closeness and intimacy. But I'm talking about the relationship between a male and a female once we come together. Now, the thing is, intimacy is born out of a friendship type of love. So before you can even start talking about intimacy, you have to start with friendship. That is a powerful foundation, and that's how it actually gets started. Now, also, when we say intimacy, that means a person has to feel a closeness. Two people that feel close to one another. Now, all the closeness may start with words, but there's a mind. The mind comes together as a psychological closeness, but what it produces, or what it should produce, is an emotional closeness. So you can say that intimacy is entering into close emotional proximity of another person. But we have to go a little further on that because you can do that and still not have intimacy. This is what I mean. Once you enter into close personal proximity to another person, and it's emotional. I'm trying to build this thing. It's an emotional closeness to another person. And once you enter into that proximity, you have to understand that not only are you emotionally close to that person, but you have to know how to get there, enter in, and stay there for a little while. And you have to do it. This is the qualifier. You have to do it without causing harm or damage to the person. Because when you get close to someone and they're being intimate, they're allowing you to see a part of them that most people out there will never see. And so as they reveal these things to us, and if we come in with some harsh or crass or incendiary type of inflammatory type of words, what they're going to do is they're going to begin to back up. They're going to back up like, okay, I can't do this. And that's not what you want. You want them to come closer because you're trying to develop intimacy. Now, another thing about intimacy, the capacity for intimacy really establishes the richness and the successfulness of that relationship. Are you going to be able to draw from it? Both parties going to be able to draw from it. So there has to be a vulnerability. I guess that's the right word. And once again, in order for you to get close to somebody, you're going to have to become vulnerable. You're going to have to expose yourself to them. So this is why I think it's really important to understand that if you want to get intimate with another person, and intimacy has it, you have to first understand that you're going to have to be vulnerable. You're going to have to expose yourself, and that means risk. So if you're going to be intimate, you want to take that risk. Make sure that it's the right person. Make sure you talk to your friends and close friends and mentors and counselors, whatever you got in your life. Listen, to make sure that, hey, it could be the one. You never know 100%, but this could be the one. And it's at that point you could begin to take steps to make yourself more vulnerable. But it's important to know that that person has to know how to enter in and come out. They have to know how to enter in without causing harm and damage when they get in there. And that's the whole thing. But there has to be a vulnerability. So when we're talking about intimacy, you have to also understand that intimacy does not mean sex. Now, sex can be added to and included into the intimacy, but the definition of intimacy has nothing to do with sex. It's intimacy. I'm giving you the whole when we're talking about intimacy. Sex is not a whole. If it is a part, then it's only a part and not the whole. The first thing you should seek to achieve is a closeness and an intimacy if you're trying to build a romantic relationship. Okay, that's what you want to achieve. And you listen, when you go through with that, you've got to make sure you're dealing with the right person, or it's a high probability, not possibility, high probability that this is the right person. And once it's going to take work. It's going to take work. And when we say opening up and being vulnerable, I'm not talking about needy people who are needy and they need you to get close to them so they can feel secure. I'm talking about two people that are trying to just share with one another and develop an emotional bond, or as they say, an emotional closeness. Now, sharing, this is important. It's all about sharing. Okay. Now, if one person shares deeply and the other one doesn't, it's going to affect the intimacy and the bond is not going to be strong. But the whole key is to know that this stuff is born out of a friendship. And then you have to have the foundation of love and respect set so that you will respect somebody enough to get into close emotional proximity of another person without causing harm or without causing damage.